Good evening, everyone, and welcome to today's Fireside Chat. My name is Pascal Messi, and I'm excited to be moderating today's Fireside Chat on developing core capabilities in economic modeling and analysis for young economists. And today's Fireside Chat is hosted by Kingsgate Advisors Institute, and this session is part of Kingsgate's broader mission to Today's session is part of Kingsgate broader mission as a capacity and development center. We're committed to shaping the next generation of leaders and change makers through structured mentorship, education, and hands-on capacity building initiatives. Now, whether you're a final year student or an undergraduate or a recently graduated student or pursuing a master's degree, this conversation is for you, as many of you are stepping into a rapidly evolving economic landscape where data, quantitative tools, and rigorous analysis are more important than ever. And that's why we're here today. And that's the focus of today's session, as we'll be focusing on modeling and analysis. So economic modeling is more than just a technical skill. It's a way of thinking critically, solving real-world problems, and influencing meaningful policy and strategic decisions. But building these capabilities takes more than classroom theory. It takes practice, mentorship, and curiosity, and access to the right tools and experience. And that's why we're all gathered here today, so we can share some insights on these tools and experiences. So before we go forward, I'm just going to invite the executive director to give a word or two and to welcome the audience before we go deeper into today's session. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. It is my absolute pleasure to welcome you all to this second edition of our Fireside Chat. This is Fireside Chat 2.0, and today's discussion is themed on developing core competencies or core capabilities in economic modeling and analysis. So I want to begin by thanking everyone that is joining right now and that will join, probably even watch much later, for taking the time to join us today. And special thanks to our guests and Pascal, the moderator. Thank you all for joining us this evening and for investing your time in your own growth and in your learning. This session is part of our broader commitment, through the Kingsgate Young Scholar Research and Policy Academy. It's an initiative designed to bridge the often wide gap between academic training and real-world impact. At Kingsgate, we believe that developing the next generation of scholar practitioners and policy leaders goes beyond theory. So it requires practical skills, mentorship, professional experience, and exposure, then meaningful engagement with real policy challenges. So tonight, this evening's conversation focuses on one of the most fundamental technical areas in economics discipline, modeling and analysis. So whether you're building policy recommendations for government, working in a think tank, or advising the private sector, or even trying to understand how economic relationship works with data, this session is for you. It is very important and it's very essential. So we understand that many early career economists may feel overwhelmed with the technical expectations of today's job market, and that's why we have put this session together, and we believe it's very important. It's designed not only to equip with knowledge, but also to inspire confidence, learn from experts, show you where you can start raising your own desire and pursue your own career technicalities in this career path. I want to also remind you that learning is a journey, so don't feel overwhelmed by all the things you'll be hearing this evening. Remember, it starts with the first step. So it's both professional and it's also very personal. So I'm very happy and excited to welcome again Dr. Queen Esther Oye and Dr. Chimere Iheonu, who are part of our senior research fellow within the Institute. They are brilliant economists. They've published far and wide international journals, highly reputable journals, and they walk us through this path to share their lessons, their experiences, the tools, and what our expectation and advice would be in navigating these pathways. So, like I said, this is not just a webinar, it's not just a chat, it's not just a fireside chat, it's a turning point for you. And I want you to take note of your questions, those questions that you want clarity on. This is the time to start penning them down. There'll be opportunity for us to ask our questions. They are able to answer them all. So once again, welcome, and let's all enjoy this evening together. Thank you. Over to you, Pascal.
Thank you, Ma, for the welcome and for the introduction. So, like Dr. Pelumi has said, today we'll be bringing together two economists who have built and applied these modeling and analysis capabilities across different sectors, ranging from academia to government to international development. And today they'll be here to share with us not only technical insights, but they'll also share with us the human story behind economics and applying all these modeling and analysis capabilities. So today they'll tell us what they learned, what they wish they knew earlier, and what advice they have for those that are just getting started. So today we have with us on the panel Dr. Chimere Iheonu and Dr. Esther Oye. So Dr. Chimere is a postdoctoral fellow at the University of South Africa and a senior research fellow here at Kingsgate Advisors Institute. He specializes in energy economics and development macroeconomics with extensive academic and consulting experience. Dr. Iheonu has published widely in peer-reviewed journals and serves as an economic consultant at Veriv Africa and an academic consultant at Niva Open University. He brings deep insights into Nigeria's monetary policy and sustainable macroeconomic development. And this is someone that would be able to share loads of insights in terms of analysis and modeling in economics. So thank you for being with us today, Dr. Chimere. And we also have Dr. Queen Esther Oye, and she's a lecturer and researcher at Covenant University with over a decade of experience in academia, policy analysis, and capacity development. Her expertise spans across macroeconomic policy, political economy, and governance. She has served as a research fellow at UNECA and a bridge fellow at the Nigerian Economic Summit Group. With strong experience in her macroeconomic modeling, Dr. Oye also holds a PhD in economics and has published widely in peer-reviewed journals. At Kingsgate Advisors Institute, she also serves as a senior research fellow, focusing on quantitative analysis of macroeconomic instability in Nigeria. So thank you for being with us today, Dr. Queen Esther. Okay. No problem. So now that all the introductions are done, without further ado, we can just go into the discussion of today and start sharing some insights with regards to modeling and analysis. So the first question with regards to this topic would be for Dr. Esther, and this question deals with finding your path. So could you please tell us how it all starts from the beginning? Can you take us back to your early days? How did you find your way into economic modeling and analysis? And was it love at first sight or was it a slow build?
Thank you once again, moderator. I'm pleased to be here, and I want to use this opportunity to send my high regards to Dr. Olalebi, who heads the Institute. Thank you for giving me this platform. I'm very happy about it. I will trace my early days to being a science student in secondary school, and for some positive reasons, I shifted from sciences to social sciences. So I opted to study economics in the university. And as an undergraduate student, I was in the top 1% of the class, and I had a very good flair for quantitative courses. But what really sparked my interest in economic research analysis was putting in for an essay competition. It was then organized by First Bank of Nigeria and just themed around the Millennium Development Goals. And I came out as one of the top 10. And also, I was also inspired by few of my lecturers who used to come to class then to discuss economic issues, And another very vital process in this is while I was writing my undergraduate final year process, I really enjoyed the process. I enjoyed going there, and then we didn't have so much of the technology around then. I enjoyed the process of going to the library. I used to go to the Central Bank of Nigeria's library, gather in all of the needed materials, and I also ran my analysis, something that may not have been very common around that time. So all of those things really built up my interest to say once I graduate from university, I'm not going to look for a bank job because that was the in then. I would just go and work as a research. I was interested in economics research. So upon graduating and after NYC, I finally got a job as a research associate in a startup as at that time, the Center for Public Policy Alternative. And I would say that I did a short time there, but it's really impacted me. It shifted my thinking, like thinking out of the box when it comes to economic matters. I spent a short time there, then went on to do my master's. I also, of course, continued the journey of getting myself acclimatized with more knowledge in economics, research, and thereafter I moved to academia. Okay, so I would say that all of those experiences for me built a solid foundation on which I would say was able to help me kickstart my journey into economic modeling. And the big one there is definitely I had a wonderful master's supervisor who was also my PhD supervisor, the person of Professor Philip Alege. And anybody who knows him, we know that he's the father of PSG modeling in Nigeria, dynamic stochastic general equilibrium modeling in Nigeria. You know, so he, out of his compassion to impact we young people, he reached out to some of us to see how he could get us interested in that line. So I remember one of those days he called me to his office and told me about it. And I was really there. I'm someone who has ordinarily liked something that is not so like it's all conventional, like it's something different from everybody is doing ordinarily square, method. Everybody's doing the quantitative. It sounded it sounded challenging, and so I decided to put up for that. So I started my PhD journey, and by the time and prior to that time, some persons have actually also wanted to do the DSG model, but somehow they stopped along the line and started all over. So for me, it was a bit scary that people had started to use this. They stopped along the line, and you now want to still go in that direction. But luckily for me, I got hold of a PhD thesis from another school, Oye and Dr. University. And so, as at that time, the book, of course, I had read lots of materials from the internet on DSG media, and also because as at that time I couldn't afford. The only place you can get a standard DSG training is if you travel abroad, and I couldn't afford it, so I had to do lots of readings and coupled with that thesis. So it helped me. Then when it came to my chapter 4, when I was about to do my analysis, I contacted the person that, please, can you give me insight into coding? Then he said something like, oh, he's sorry, his laptop crashed. And so he can't, but it was one who wrote the coding. But rather than that discouraging me, it sparked something in me that if this person can write his code, I should give it a try. And so that was what really inspired me. I wrote my codes, I did my PhD, my code ran, and here I am. So I want to believe it's a combination of, yes, love at first sight, as a result of Professor Alege inspiring me, and also a combination of many months of continuous reading back and forth. So that's the journey for me.
Okay, thank you very much for sharing your journey, Dr. Pinessa. That was a quite interesting journey. I think it's a bit of a strange one because most people usually switch from from science to the other way around. But thank you for sharing your journey with us. And also for the second question, it's kind of like a follow-up from the first question, and this is for Dr. Chimere. So could you please just share a bit more of your journey as well, and this is with regards to skills that matter. So could you just tell us what you think about your early career? Like what's one technical or soft skill you're glad you built early on, and how did that shape your journey?
Thank you very much. So I think I also moved from the sciences to the social sciences, and that was because I had flavor for mathematics. Economics was what I could easily scale through even without reading during the secondary school days, and I was very bad with chemistry. So I when I was trying to move to the university, I decided to study economics. And during my undergraduate days, one particular aspect of economics that has really shaped me till today is quantitative analysis, from statistics to econometrics. And I kind of enjoyed the mathematical aspects of economics. I kind of enjoyed the statistical aspect of economics. I enjoyed econometrics, which of course, I easily scaled through them. So understanding those theoretical bases for econometrics has really shaped what I am today, in the sense that I was able to grasp econometrics at a very early stage of maybe 300 level, 400 level. I was able to grasp at least the basic foundations of econometrics, and that has really helped me in what I am today, because presently I'm a postdoctoral fellow, and the reason why I was able to get the job was not because I merely have a PhD in economics. It was because I was good in econometric modeling. So what I'm trying to say is that what shaped me early enough was the fact that I had a passion for mathematics, I had passion for statistics, I had passion for econometrics. And after I finished my undergraduate, I went to at the Imo State University in Owerri. I went to Lagos, where I did my master's degree in economics, and I met people like Professor Bright Ereha, who actually solidified my econometrics theoretical, because even after I finished my master's degree, I was very good theoretically. I understood the theoretical foundations of econometrics, but I didn't know how to use any software, even after my master's degree. So the day I finished my master's, that same day, December 18th, 2015, when I wrote my last paper, I downloaded about 50 videos from YouTube on applied econometrics, and that was the starting point for me. I was able to move from merely understanding theoretical econometrics to now being able to apply econometrics. And that was actually what made me get my first job, because a company in Abuja, they were looking for someone, and I was in my PhD at the University of Nigeria, Nsukka. So I was still a student, and I was called by the director that he heard I was able to do this and this in econometrics and in statistics, and that was how I was able to get my first job. And every job, even till today, has been because I was able to understand and grasp the foundations of econometrics. I also pushed myself to learn applied econometrics using e-views and then using Stata. So these are like the early stages of my career that have now shaped me to being a postdoctoral fellow in economics today. And of course, we are still trying to move on.
Oh, thank you for sharing your journey and the skills that you built early on. I heard that you mentioned that you encountered Professor Bright Ereha. That was funny because he was my lecturer as well in PAU. He told me
Yeah, I know.
Macroeconomics as well.
Yeah, before you encountered him, we encountered him first.
Yeah.
He also taught me advanced macroeconomics and econometrics. So those two subjects actually have shaped what I do today in my field.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing your journey with us. That was an interesting journey. And I just want to take this opportunity to welcome anyone who's just joining us. Welcome to today's session on building capabilities in modeling and analysis. So if you're just joining us, please don't forget to follow our channel, subscribe. And if you have any questions, please just put them in the chat box, and we'll get to the questions at the end of the session. Thank you. So Dr. Chimere, this another question, just like a follow-up from the last one. So this is a question regarding starting from scratch. So if someone wants to learn economic modeling and doesn't know where to begin, what's the first step you would recommend for them? Or what's the first thing you'd recommend to do, how to start from scratch in learning economic modeling?
Okay, so first, I think you have to take your academics very seriously. That's the very first, because you have to understand the basics first, and to be able to be a good econometric or economic modeler, you have to understand theoretical economics. You have to understand the foundations of macroeconomics, and also understand the foundations of microeconomics. These are what actually builds you. Then you also have to understand theoretical econometrics and then applied econometrics. You have to know, you have to also upgrade your skills, your IT skills. You also have to learn econometric softwares like eViews. You have to learn econometric software like Stata. If you want to go further, you can learn MATLAB. I think MATLAB is what Dr. Esther uses for DSG modeling. I'm not sure. So you also have to learn like R Studio. So these, if you really have a passion to be an econometric modeler or a top economist, you have to know two things: economic theory and econometric modeling, or the use of econometrics, both the theoretical aspect of it and the practical aspect of it.
Hello?
So I think Dr. Oye could chip in if.
Okay, no problem. I was just going to get to that. There's been like a lot of talk
Okay.
about different tools in economics and different softwares that people should know. But with different tools like R, Strata, Python, MATLAB, and even eViews around, how do young economists decide what to focus on, especially when there's limited access to these tools? So, Dr. Oye, if you could just shed some light on this question.
Okay, my apologies. I said, when Dr. Chimere was speaking earlier, it really sounded intimidating when he said he watched 50 videos. I'm like, whoa, that's great. Okay, so I want to believe that for young economists to develop or to zero in on which of the tools they need to focus on, they have to consider several things. First of all, what are you trying to do with your, is it either your research or your reporting? What are you trying to do? If you're just trying to do something with descriptive analysis, you have several of these things that, like just getting the mean, the median, and all of these things. Your simple Microsoft Excel to do that. If you're trying to do regression analysis or in the realm of differential, regression analysis, depending on whether you're trying to do in the realm of the time series econometrics or panel data, we have tools like eViews, Stata, and I know from good and even from my own experience that eViews is more geared towards doing your time series, doing your macroeconomic modeling or econometric analysis. Whereas Stata, it's of course you can use it to do some things in terms of time series, but it's more geared towards doing your panel data analysis, doing your micro economic or econometric analysis. So you have those softwares with their different strengths. Then when you're talking about CG modeling, if you go into core modeling, so when you're talking about the computational general equilibrium model, you have specialized softwares like Jetpack, GAMS, so you just need to know. And if you are also in the realm of DSG, like the Chimere was saying earlier on, about MATLAB, you need to have a MATLAB dynamic. You also have Julia. So you need to know which one, what exactly are you doing with your research, what are you interested in, and that will determine the type of software. Then another consideration is job prospects. The job prospects. Like Dr. Chimere has also mentioned that as a result of him developing capability in all of those economic metrics methods, was able to secure a job. Now, if you check the job adverts of places, maybe places like World Bank and the rest, when you look at it, most times they will say for the role of an economist, especially when it comes to analysis or modeling, they ask for R. They want someone who is proficient in R and Python. So that shows that is what such organizations are looking at. So if you are interested in getting a job in that type of place, then you need to consider building capability in R and Python. Then another one is what kind of technical ability do you have? Do you have the coding skills already, or are you just a beginner? If you have the coding skills already, then it means that you may have to use, it means that you'll be comfortable with Python, with R, because, yes, more of Python, because you know that one needs more of coding. But if you are just a beginner, you know that you will need to go for softwares with user interfaces that you can just click on and to take you to what you want to do. And another consideration also is you need to know, just like Chimere said, that you downloaded so many videos. You need to know particular software you're trying to learn. You don't have enough resources to learn from the internet or from wherever. You don't have enough. Does it have a robust manual that I can use to learn or to find my way through whatever I need to do? Yes. Then that one is whether you want to go for the open source softwares or the paid ones or the ones with licenses. So all of those considerations, like now, if you're someone who needs to use MATLAB and you don't have the license, there's a free alternative or an open source alternative to MATLAB, which is the Octave. I used that for quite a while before my university acquired a license for us, the MATLAB license for us. And it was really good. Yes, I didn't even see, especially with regards to my own DSG modeling, I didn't really even see any limitation while using the Octave. So you can source them out, Python, GANs, all of those things, they are open source software that you can readily use. So I think those are the various things that young economists or young people who emerging economists can look out for to make what suits.
Okay, thank you so much for sharing those insights with us, Dr. A. So, with regards to modeling and all these softwares, I feel like sometimes a lot of people might see these models and the models that the software bring up as very abstract. So, I would want you to just share a bit with us more about real world impact. So, could you just share a real moment when your modeling or analysis contributed to a policy decision or real world change, and what did you learn from it?
Okay, the caveat to answer that question is, first of all, as one in academia in this part of the world, you really may not have so many access to having to do your economic modeling in trying to address real world issues, especially if you are not yet in the realm of able to get a contract from maybe the Federal Ministry of Finance to help us look into this. But I have had few privileges. Like one privilege I got was from Professor Ademi in 2020. I had just finished my PhD then, and I had the real privilege to ask to join his team. Of course, Professor Bright was also part of the team. To join the team to work on creating and simulating some macroeconomic assumptions on which they were supposed to build or to base the Nigeria's Vision 2050 as a one medium-term economic framework on. And it was really eye-opening for me. Of course, when I'm in the midst of such senior people, I played more of a supporting role. So I think those then little times too. I had a fellowship in ECA, and I was privileged to also be a part of the model validation. We're trying to validate a model for another multilateral agency. So I've had some of these little privileges, as it were, when it comes to applying my modeling knowledge into or to drive real world policy decisions.
Okay, thank you very much for sharing that real world experience on that. I'm sure it must have been a good feeling to see your work be impacted in the real world and make a change. Yes. So the next question would be for Dr. Chimere, and this question would be with regards to imposter syndrome and growth. So there are a lot of young economists now who could doubt their abilities, especially when it comes to technical skills. Did you ever feel that way when you were still upcoming? And how did you push through this imposter syndrome?
So I was saying that it happened to me, and it actually happened to me like even recent times. So there was a paper I wrote, and I felt it was not good enough. And I think I almost discarded that paper, but I sent it to a professor in South Africa, and he read it, and to him it was very impressive. But just because I didn't have that confidence in myself, I thought it wasn't good enough. And I think the paper was just published about, well, that paper 3 years ago. It was just published about 2 weeks ago in a very top journal, Oxford Development Studies. Oxford Development. So it happens. It happened to me then, and it still happens sometimes. Sometimes you feel, oh my God, this paper might not be good, but when you give it to maybe someone higher than you, you now know that you're actually better than you think you are. So what I'm trying to say here is that growing or young researchers should not always doubt themselves. When they do something or when they write, they can always share with a senior colleague, because sometimes you might write and feel it's what I just done might not be good enough, so let me just trash it. But when a senior colleague who is very good, because there are some senior colleagues that are not very good, who is very good, sees it, they can actually help you to improve on the paper, and it might even be just fine for publication or, immediately. So what I'm trying to say is that while it exists, it is always good to have senior colleagues that can actually help you, to always push you, and you could give them your works, and they can actually read it and give you comments or improve on it or tell you it's fine. Sometimes you just need someone to tell you that this is good for you to believe in yourself. So it happens, and for young researchers, they should always try and have colleagues that can always help them. Surely, they should have mentors. Like, I'm a doctor today, but I still have a mentor, who is Professor Simply Sasongo. So it's we all have mentors. So it's always relevant and nice for young researchers. I believe if they have good mentors, they'll be able to escape that imposter syndrome quite early.
Okay, thank you very much for that. That was very insightful.
You're welcome.
Do have the way. It's kind of like not a bad thing, because it helps you be self-critical and
Yeah.
want the best for yourself. But then,
True.
yeah, when it gets, yeah, it's all about balance, really. So it's always good to have mentors that will be able to tell you when you're actually doing good and put you on the right track when you're not doing as good. So thank you for that, Dr. Chimere. So I'll just go back to Dr. Esther Oye now, and this question is regarding connecting theory to practice. So there are many students who feel like the classroom is a bit far from the real world and removed from real economic problems. So how can they bridge this gap between the classroom and real economic problems? And what kind of internships, fellowships, or self-led projects offer the best learning ground for economic modeling and analysis for solving economic problems?
Thank you so much. I really get that feedback from students, especially in macro classes. And that's just the truth. That economic theories, economic models are based on ideas and, of course, far-fetched from the reality, which is much complex. Sometimes, these models can be really simple, and so it's definitely different from the complexity it gets from the board. But I think one way students can bridge that gap is to see how, of course, they can have a deeper understanding of those theories and see how they can match each of those theories, especially, let me say, like the philosophy underlying those theories, like the ISF, the learning, the ISF, MDB. What are some of the things you can take from it and how can you apply it to the new context? So just for students understanding how they can take whatever meaning they can make, whatever intuition they can make from those theories and see how they can apply it into the world. And of course, one of the very ways to see how they can match the theory with reality is by gaining the practical experience. Then they need to see practical, rather, let's say practical knowledge. Then it became practical knowledge, first of all, before they get the practical experience. So what do you mean by practical knowledge? Is by go beyond your lecture slides, go beyond your lecture notes, the academic textbooks. There are some of these seasoned economists who have written books that apply economic principles to everyday life. Think about them. We have popular ones in like economies, they are cover economies. Go out, read them and see how those people have been able to take some of these economic principles into the real world. Then the second one is this is seek practical experience, which is where the internship and the fellowship just spoke about is all about. So look out for firms, look out for organizations that, of course, they are economics oriented or economics modeling oriented. We have many of them. World Bank. I was privileged to do one at the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa. We have all of those ones. We have even African. In fact, I think some months back, I saw some internship opportunities in the African Development Bank, in the African, I'm not sure if they're still on, but explore opportunities like that. Then I think another thing students can also do in order to gain a good grasp of that is they can sign up to, there are some scholarship opportunities, internship opportunities, scholarship opportunity platforms. We have several of them, but I don't do PR for any one of them, but we have several of them, So, so you can sign up for the newsletter, get those things in your inbox, whether on a weekly basis or a regular basis, and look for any opportunity that you feel aligns with your economic analysis of economic modeling opportunity. That's all I have to say about that.
Okay, thank you very much for those insights. Yeah, I think the most important thing that I got there is that it's very good to start early in terms of building your portfolio. Having information about all of these fellowships and internships that could help you, and starting early is what is really going to help you stand out in the future. And that's kind of like a foundation to my next question, which has to do with building your portfolio. And this will be for Dr. Chimere. So in a world where even entry-level jobs are asking for experience, how can a student showcase their economic modeling skills, and how can they stand out in the current job market?
Okay, so I think they have to start early. So for someone like myself who understood theoretical economic modeling without having practical insights, the students have been able to mentor and to teach. I've ensured that even as far as 300 level, they are already using e-views, they're already using Stata. Some of them are already getting to know how to use R. So in today's world, it is very important that as you are building your theoretical foundation of economics, in order to have a grasp, so a very solid foundation in economic theory, you also need to start as early as possible to start building yourself also in practical skills from 300 level. I know someone who was almost an expert as at 400 level in the use of Stata, in the use of e-views. So those are the kind of things that would make students or recent graduates always stand out. You have to start as early as possible because today's world is very competitive. And if you are able to understand not just the theoretical foundations of economics, but the practical and statistical aspect of economic modeling, you'll be able to stand out among your peers.
Okay, thank you very much for that, Dr. Chimere. It's kind of similar to what Dr. Esther said as well about starting early and building up these capabilities from when you're young, so that when you get into the job market, things are not looking strange to you because you've already been building these capabilities from when you were younger. So my next question now would be back to Dr. Esther, and this question is regards to lessons from the field. So while during your career, what are some common mistakes or blind spots you've seen among early career economics what advice do you offer them to help them avoid those in their career?
Okay, thank you very much. I want to start the question like that. In the first place, I don't want to say it's normal to make mistakes, especially when you're trying to learn economic modeling. You know, when you're trying something from scratch, you're free to make mistakes you can make, but what we want you to do is learn from those mistakes. Don't just let it discourage you. You can put it. So, because we know that learning modeling, learning analysis, the econometrics, the core, whether CG, DSU, require you do some back and forth side. So please feel free when you make mistakes, but make sure you correct yourself. But also, there's still some few things that we also need to take note of. Like sometimes, unlike Dr. Chimere, what he said, that he was first grounded in theory before he went to the practical. But sometimes we see the other way around, especially when students have access to lots of videos, and how can I run my videos, how can I run my stuff. So they will neglect the economic understanding, the underlying economic concepts, theories, underlying the statistical theory, underlying some of those methods or some of the modeling they're trying to do. So what I'm just trying to say is make sure you get a good grasp of the economic modeling, the concepts, the theory. It's very important because you also need it when you're trying to do interpret your results. You also need it also. So it's very important. Another one is you all believe that complexity means that something is better. So until I build a very complex model or until I use a very complex technique, that is when I know. I know that when it comes to academia, and also because we need to impress, we want to do all that. But sometimes complexity doesn't necessarily mean that you have done something better. So please start simple. Even there is this forum, the Dynamic Forum, DSU modeling that I joined. The moderators there will tell you, why don't you strip down your model and make it simple. Then when it runs, you need to do the for me. So also I also advise you to start with a simple model. When you have a good grasp of it, you want to put in some more complexity to it. Then another thing is, yes, you want to have a simple model, but also be careful because we know that models or theories are like simplified representations of reality. So be careful that, I want to have a simple model, but also be careful that you do not ignore or take out some very vital aspects of an economy, not because we're trying to make it simple. So I think there has to be that balance. Ensure you're not doing something too complex, and ensure that when you are doing something simple, you are not leaving out some key things you need to include in that model. Then always seek for feedback. Feedback is also very important as you are in this process. You may make mistakes, or you may write. Somebody can help you get through your set of probably 50 questions or whatever, and help you say, you need to do this, you need to do that. Or somebody can help you with the coding or the way you are presented this result and give you genuine feedback on what you need to make it better. So please open up yourself for feedback. Students sometimes are not happy. I was once there. We are not happy when we get, some honest feedback. I'm like, this man doesn't like me. This man is trying to delay my work. But this you need to you need to know that really honest feedback from a genuine person will go a long way to quality of
Well, thank you very much, Doctor, for sharing those insights. And I do agree as well in terms of students not liking feedback, because I was also there as well when your project supervisor will send your work back to you 10 times for you to make different corrections and you're just mumbling. But at the end of the day, that is it's the feedback that helps you do better and helps you grow in terms of your writing and your modeling and analysis. So I think, that's very insightful and very important as well, getting feedback. So thank you for sharing that with us. So the next question will just be for both of you, but Dr. Kunesa, you could just go first. So this question is in terms of learning and inspiration. So were the books, mentors, courses, or even personal routines, what were the books, mentors, courses, or even personal routines that helped you grow as a modeler or an analyst?
Okay. Let me start with the mentor. Of course, I've mentioned his name earlier on, my PhD supervisor, who in the first place introduced me into TSG modeling, and he's a key figure when it comes to TSG modeling in Nigeria. So I would say, yes, he was very, very instrumental to that. And also acknowledge Professor too. You know, it also gave me platforms, you know. Aside from that, I also got some, you know, writing platforms to, you know, applying my TSG modeling skills, you know. So I would acknowledge first Professor. Then when it comes to books, I didn't really read much of books when I was trying to read capability. It was more of materials. We have lots of, we didn't have so many videos like Dr. Chimere, so I couldn't download 50 videos for ESG modeling. But we had, yes, lots of lecture slides from universities around the world. You know, we have lot of PDF files. But when it comes to book, I know I read one by J.L. Torres. I read one something about introduction to macroeconomic dynamic modeling, something like that. So that then I also remember a very wonderful material too. I used the Gali and Selling. The one in 2005, the one in 2015, all sorts of Gali and Selling was always with me there. So what else then? When it comes to courses, I did not do that. So but I paid dearly for it because it took me many, many months of having to
Okay, thank you very much for sharing the insights with us. And I just want to use this opportunity to welcome anyone who's just joining us or who wasn't here from the start. I hope and those who've been here, I hope you're enjoying the conversation so far. And don't forget to send any questions that you have into the chat box, and I will do a question and answer section at the end of the discussion. Thank you. So, Dr. Chimere as well, I would like to hear some insights from you as well regarding any mentors, books or courses, or even any personal routines that helped you grow as a modeler or an analyst.
Thank you very much. So I think first of all, one needs to have passion for something. Like you have to have the passion. You have to want to do it, because I've seen a lot of people who actually try to force themselves to become what they shouldn't be. So passion is the very first thing you need to have to be a sound researcher, to be a good to be good in economic modeling. Then for persons, one of the very first people that inspired me was at the University of Lagos, and that was Professor Bright Area. And when the way he teaches, or the way he taught us macroeconomics, and the way he taught us advanced econometrics, it was like exceptional. So he really motivated me to go into research and to even continue to a PhD. And another person was Professor Simplis Asong, who I would say he has like been my only mentor, like in terms of research, core research. He has been the number one person that has pushed me. I met him in 2017. I sent him an email, and his response were very positive. And since then, he has been able to build me as a very sound researcher. Then another thing that is very needed is journals. You have to read, particularly the methodology aspects. If you are good in theory and you want to understand methods, you should read journal articles. Like in 2017, 2018, 2019, I can't count how many journal articles I read. I've read a whole lot. So those, by reading journal articles, you'll be able to see how other researchers, particularly researchers in the global north, that's in the US, in Canada, and in Europe, how they model. So by reading, you'll be able to understand and adopt and adopt. Then another thing is for me was videos. I see YouTube as a university on its own, because there's nothing you're looking for you won't see on YouTube. So if you really have passion for learning econometric modeling, learning economic modeling, learning how to do research, YouTube is one solid place you could go to, and by the time you watch videos and watch tutorials you would become an expert in no time.
Okay, thank you very much, Doctor, for sharing some insights with regards to routine or mentors. I think the most important thing there was like the intrinsic motivation, like actually wanting to do it and not forcing yourself to do it, because it's not like an easy career path to go down. So when things start getting hard or difficult, if you don't actually want to do it, then you wouldn't have the motivation to go forward. So thank you for sharing those insights with us. Now, I'm building on that. I would just like to ask for some words of wisdom on the journey. So, if you could offer one piece of advice or one piece of heartfelt advice to your younger self or to a young student listening, what would that advice be?
So that advice would be to start early and to not give up, because you need to start early. You need even for the application of scholarships and the rest, you need to start as early as possible to start building yourself. You might not really grasp the practical aspect, but if you are already building a solid base from your 100 level to your 200 level to your 300 level to your 400 level, you'll be able to have opportunities that other people might not have. So what I'm trying to say is that education is still a very good key to progress. I've seen a lot of people with first class that are now in Nigeria that got scholarships and are now professors in the US, in Canada, in South Africa. So in all, you have to build early and start building your modeling skills early. Start building the theoretical understanding of macroeconomics early. Start building theoretical understanding of microeconomics early. Try to also build the passion. That is if it's what you want to do, and I believe you'll be able to scale through.
Okay, thank you very much for sharing. I would also like to hear one piece of heartfelt advice from Dr. Pinesta as well. What's one piece of advice you would give to your younger self or to a young student that's listening?
Okay. To my younger self, go for a course in training in economic modeling. It's not always about self-study. It makes it easy for you. So that's what I would tell my younger self. But of course, when you go for that kind of training, don't also think it's a substitute for your self-study. It's very important, because I've had the privilege to go for training afterwards. I took part in training organized by the Community Society, sometimes I think 2 years ago. And what we were taught, I was already in DSG modeling, but I was asking myself, how will I have survived this class? And I wondered what I'm indirectly saying is, don't just think you're going for a training, you need to ensure there is balance between the training you're going for and self-study. Then I want to build up on what the Chimere said, passion. When you have passion, it gives you resilience, because it is resilience you also need for this journey. When it comes to economic resilience, when you have a code in front of you and it doesn't run for days, weeks, are you going to give up? No, you have to be resilient. But when you are passionate, you are motivated, I say, I'm going to see to this thing that it runs, then you're able to go on that resilience path and able to get out to achieve what you need to do. That's what I say.
Thank you very much for sharing the piece of heartfelt advice with us. But I think generally the key theme in all of this is just about having passion, and that passion helps you build resilience and also give you the motivation to keep on going whenever things get difficult, and also starting early as well, because starting early is what's going to make you stand out amongst your peers as well. So thank you very much for sharing your insights with us. And so we've come to the end of all the questions for the panelists today. They have shared a lot of insights with us with regards to the economic career and modeling and analysis. And I myself have also learned a lot from them as well. So I'm hoping everyone else has enjoyed the conversation. And if anyone has any questions, please pop them in the chat box, because we'll give about 10-15 minutes to answer any questions from the audience. So if there are any questions, please pop them in the chat box now. We'll have a look now.
In addition to what young people can do. Any other advice I would give is try to keep abreast of the developments. New things are coming up every day, or yes, from time to time, respect to economic modeling, respect to economic modeling. So try to keep up, it's what's new developments. Yes, and that's also relates to what Dr. Chimere said. Big journal articles, where you read them, you see what's happening. And there's this very popular journal. I don't read it myself, but I know you want to keep abreast with recent happenings. Of course, more in the economics discipline, Journal of Economic Perspective tells you what's the new thing. But when it comes to economic modeling, just look out for journal, actually very, very planning to major in. Just look out for recent journal articles.
Okay, thank you very much for sharing some last tips with us, Doctor. I've got a question now. With regards to today's conversation, and the question is, do you think there's too much focus on software and not enough focus on conceptual understanding of modeling and analysis itself, or vice versa?
I think I mentioned that earlier when we were talking about some blind spots and mistakes, common mistakes about students, because they have access to the starter manual. Everybody just to go straight to looking at how to can run the analysis without trying to understand concepts. So I believe what the person said that there needs to be balance, because it is your understanding of the concept that will interpret the results, or your understanding of the assumptions underlying that method that will help you know whether you are evaluating any assumptions or not. And also keep us away from, like, an instance is if you don't understand some assumptions of the ordinary score, right? You just run your results and you get, you run the analysis on the software and get the results and you are happy. But you don't know that what you just did was wrong. So when we have the basic understanding of the concept behind it, the theories or the assumptions underlying that method, and theory generally behind it, then you know that you are trying.
Okay, thank you very much for answering that question, Doctor. I've also just got another question. So someone said you mentioned something earlier about getting experience while in school, because when we get out there, the experience is needed. How did you say we should go about it with regards to getting experience while I'm still in school?
Okay, I think it's just look for internships. Like the internship with the African Development Bank, I think it's geared towards master's students. So look for such. I'm not sure about the African internship with the African. I'm not sure what it's about. So look for such internships that can cater for the students. We even have a Nigerian economic summit. I think they will need some internships. I'm sure. But so just look out for, and that's why I said, in order for you to access such information already, which you can do that is to sign up for some of those platforms. Okay, let me just mention some of them. Africa scholarship positions, which one opportunities for African, there are quite a number of them. Sign up for them through their website and look out for any internship openings or fellowship openings that meets where you are, whether you are a graduate student or you are postgraduate students.
Okay, to build on what Dr. Esther said, internships are actually very, very important. And a lot of people think there might not be places for internship, but they actually are, especially if you search rigorously. I believe students can get internship placements. Then apart from that, there are a lot of professors and lecturers, not a lot, but some professors and lecturers that they have some research grants, research funding. Some might not actually need to have research grants and funding, but if students can start as early as possible to start seeking for mentorship and to start trying to be some sort of like a research assistant to some of these professors in order to build their own research capacity, it would also go a long way. There are some students, for instance, at the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, where I had my PhD. There was about 1 or 2 undergraduate students who came to me for them to be research assistants to me. So we actually worked together, and I was able to we're able to explore some research together. And today, one is a PhD student in the UK, and one is also doing his master's degree on full funded scholarships. So what I'm trying to say is that away from internships, you can also leverage professors, and you can leverage lecturers who are sound in economic modeling, and gain experience from them. Then I'd like to speak about reading journal publication. So there's what we call pediatric journals. It is not every journal that students should read, because there are levels to journals. There are some journals that they literally publish anything as long as you can pay them. So we also need to be very careful of the kind of journals that you are getting information from. So there are standards, and what I do is the minimum standard for me is reading Scopus index journals, because I believe this is like a standard for good paper writing. So you need to know journal classifications, and you need to be able to identify journals that are predatory. When I mean predatory, I mean journals that are just seeking for your money. Anything you write, they publish. So these classifications are also very important when you try or when you want to read journal papers.
Okay, thank you very much for Dr. Chimere. And I think we have just one last question from the audience, and the question is, with regards to skills, are there any soft skills that are just as important as the technical modeling abilities to your work?
I think so. I've seen people who were very good with Microsoft Excel and getting top positions, because there are a lot of things Microsoft Excel which I would consider it a soft skill, but the truth is that a lot of people do not actually have capabilities in using Microsoft Excel as it should be used. So if one can actually fully grasp the understanding and the utilization of Excel, it's a skill that is actually very rare, that can actually open doors for you. I know a lecturer at the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, who taught an organization, a very popular organization in Nigeria, how the use of Excel, and he was paid in millions of naira. So these are soft skills that can actually also open door for you away from econometric modeling in itself.
Oh, okay, thank you very much for answering that question and sharing some insights with us now. So at the moment, I think we've answered all the questions that have come through from the audience. So if there are no more questions from the audience, then I think we can do the closing remarks now. Thank you everyone for joining this conversation. Thank you for being part of this important conversation. We hope that you are walking away with new clarity and have learned some insights with regards to modeling and analysis. And we hope that you now know what it takes to grow and be capable and be a confident economic thinker, and how you can start building those modeling and analytical skills today. The path forward is feeling very overwhelming. The path forward could feel very overwhelming at times, but remember, it's not just about mastering everything at once. It's about staying curious, asking good questions, learning and growing, and finding ways to keep building little by little with purpose. So at Kingsgate Advisors Institute, our mission is to empower the next generation of economic leaders, whether it's through mentorship, education, or skill-based training, and we're here to support your growth. So don't let the conversation end. Please reach out, connect with mentors, explore new tools, and keep testing your skills in real-world context. Stay bold, stay curious, and keep building forward. Please don't forget to follow our social media pages, subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you can be aware when we do more sessions like this and share more insights with regards to economic concepts and real world scenarios. So please don't let the conversation end. Keep on following our social media pages, like, comment, subscribe, and we'll keep in touch if there are any more sessions with regards to capacity building. Thank you.